Thank you. I've changed my title, actually. I was reminded last year that my predecessor as coordinator for the Espe Summer School, Faisal Ahmed, described the Espe Summer School as the jewel in the crown of Espe activities, and I would like to persuade you that is still the case. And remember that the Espe Summer School was the original school, training educational school within Espe, from which the other schools have followed the example. So the summer school was established now many years ago, 1987, with the first school being held in Toulouse, and the first coordinator was Paul Chernikov. As you probably know, it is usually held over 3 days, usually precedes the annual meeting, occasionally will follow the annual meeting. We now have 26 students, and we have 3 or 4 specialist themes in which we have faculty and steering committee members speak. And an important aspect of the summer school is that each of those students brings a case that they work on with the facilitators of the faculty, and then they present to the whole group. And that's a very important function. And all throughout the duration of the summer school, it has been sponsored by Ferring Pharmaceuticals. This year's summer school, which is now the 29th, we had 26 students representing 20 countries. So not just from Europe, we had representatives from Africa, Asia, North and South America, and one individual actually came all the way from Australia. Our topics this year were puberty, disorders of the neuroendocrine axis, growth and genetics, diabetes and obesity. And we had invited faculty from Nelly Pitilo, Mohamed Magne, Charles Sklar, Maita Tauber, Irene Nechin, and Ram Weiss, in conjunction with my steering committee colleagues, Abdullah Barakat, Antje Corner, Carla Bizzari, and Johnny Deladoe. And this was where we held the summer school this year. This is Poblet Monastery, which is in Catalonia, and although the monastery is very old, it has a guest house which is relatively new and has lots of facilities. This photograph was taken during our activity on the first morning where we were walking around the monastery. A photograph of the interior of the monastery. We weren't actually having our education sessions within the monastery, but we did do a tour of the monastery on the second afternoon, and I would encourage you to visit it. So in terms of the relevant information for people interested in applying to the summer school, it's aimed primarily at senior trainees in paediatric endocrinology, and our application is scored on a number of points, so clinical experience, research training, publications, the curriculum vitae, and importantly a letter of support from an Espe member. The information for next year's summer school should be available on the Espe website from November, and the deadline for applications will be February the 1st next year. So thank you very much, and I'm now going to hand over to one of the fellows on this year's training school who'll give his experience.
So as Dr. Shaw has already said, this year's summer school was at the Poblet Monastery in Catalonia, basically. So as he said before, there were 25 of us. I counted 18 countries. I might have gotten that wrong. But as Dr. Shaw said, one of us actually, we had a bit of a competition as to how far we had to fly to actually get to Barcelona. And I think Jeff won because he came all the way from Australia. And our faculty members were just as international as we were. There were 13 faculty members from 10 different countries. And as Dr. Shaw has mentioned, we had a wide variety of topics taught to us, so on growth, on puberty, neuroendocrinology, diabetes, obesity, and genetics. And also, as Dr. Shaw has mentioned, we all were asked to present a case, and the cases were just about as varied, from any endocrine organ you can think about, basically. And as you can imagine, there were 25 of us, so we had 25 different cases, and it was very interesting to learn from each other. So this is a picture of us hard at work. Dr. Shaw, this is Dr. Shaw lecturing at the very front there, and obviously we were all learning from each other here. And this was at the end of the summer school, where we actually had a quiz, which was a combination of asking us questions on the knowledge we were supposed to have gotten from the summer school, but also knowledge about various different trivia aspects, really, about the Poblet Monastery. It was very, very competitive. And obviously my team won. So, and that's our team there, and we were very happy. And there were lots of different social activities for us to bond with each other. So the first thing was the first morning before we even started any lectures, we took a 2-hour walk around the Poblet Monastery. It was made even more fun because we did something called geocaching. I don't know if anyone's done that before, but essentially it's a kind of treasure hunt where you use a GPS system and you have to find different items on the route. We also visited the monastery itself. It's a very interesting place. It was built in the 12th century. For those of us from the UK, for me, I had a bit of a look on its history before, and actually of interest to us, the grandfather of Catherine of Aragon is buried here, and that's quite significant. What's interesting is some of these roofs that you can see here, they're Gothic arches, and actually, I haven't shown you the original picture, but some of the arches are actually the original construction without any restoration to it at all, and it's been perfectly kept. And then finally, we had a farewell dinner the last night when we arrived back in Barcelona, obviously making lots of new friends. People who know me will know that I like to take pictures of food, so there you go as well. And things I took away from summer school this year. So obviously, we all come from different places. We all have different healthcare systems, different degrees of how much resources we have, and learning how you manage the same patient in a different setting was really quite interesting. And obviously, there's more than one way to do a lot of the things that we do in our clinics. Learning about different healthcare systems, about how they're funded, was very interesting to me. And obviously, very important, we made lots of new friends and colleagues at summer school, I'm sure. We've all got each other's email addresses. We're not going to lose touch. And importantly, there is one reason why Poblet Monastery was picked this year, because our Espe president, Professor Audi, first learned to walk here, essentially. So that's us. Thank you very much.